Well, how about that? Now we have sound. I have no idea why my little thing there is not working, but I pressed the buttons and it didn't do the thing that I needed it to do. So we're just going to assume that I need to press the buttons manually this week. So, hey friends, happy Friday. I am so excited to be here with you tonight. We have got a little project that we're going to start and finish on a live stream because this is a quick sew. I don't think this will take me any more than 2 hours to put together. Now watch, I say all that and I'll still be live at midnight. But I'm committing to you right now, yawning or not, I'm finishing this project before I hang up the live stream. So before we dive into announcements and showing you the project that I'm going to work on, let me say hi to some people that are in the chat. We've got Donna from Handmade by Ying here. We've got Lynn's Crafting Room, Sherry, Alicia, of course, Steve and Norma Kaufman. We've also got Melody Quilt. And I feel like I saw somebody up here saying something about sketching alive for the first time. Roberta Camper. Good evening, everyone. I'm finally catching her live. Hello, Roberta. I'm glad that you are here with us. Hello, Connie. Connie Miller is here. Pat Strawhouse. I see Doreen. You know, I could read everybody's name, but to be completely honest with you, I would be here all night. So we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Let's talk a little bit about announcements and then we will get into the project and we'll start sewing. So announcements, couple of things that you need to know. Number one, you guys, I think Alaska is sold out. And I think it is waitlist only. So if you are some long shot still interested, you can email RGE and let them know. They'll put you on a wait list. And if cancellation opens up, they will reach out to you and do all the things. That said, if you missed out on Alaska, maybe you didn't want to go, maybe you had other plans, maybe you've already been on an Alaskan cruise, but you're up for another whirlwind adventure that is literally bucket list. Like Alaska's a dream for me, but this next one I will probably never do again. It is a once in a lifetime thing. We are going to Australia in November 2027. This is a big time commitment for me, but I'm really excited. Ian, Chris from Road City Originals, and myself will be teaching classes on a 10-night cruise out of Sydney, Australia, all the way over to Auckland, New Zealand, and we've got a lot planned for you on that trip. So if that's something that you are considering, all of the information for it can be found on my website, sewbecca.com. There's a link up at the top that says retreats, and if you click on that, it'll give you all the retreat information for everything that I'm planning to do as of right now. Okay, second announcement. Tomorrow, for those that are taking the Table Runner workshop with Holly Quilt Shop, block number 4 is tomorrow via Zoom. So make sure you're checking your emails for the links or you're showing up at the quilt shop, whatever method it is that you use to attend those block of the month series. And if you didn't catch it last time, I'm actually throwing in a bonus session for those that signed up for the block of the month. In May, we're going to do a 5th session where we put all the blocks together just so we can see everybody's finished table runner. If you did sign up for Alaska, please check your email because there are all sorts of important details that you need in there, including dates for our pre-cruise Zoom. So you want to get those dates, mark them on your calendar, and we should be good to go. Secondly, maybe not secondly, because I've already given you like 15 announcements at this point. I want you to know that on Saturday, May 9th, I think it's May 9th, I will be teaching a table runner class through Zoom. You can buy tickets for that workshop, that virtual workshop on my website, Becca.com. It'll give you all of the information that you need. You can buy the ticket there, and your price for the workshop is going to include a free copy of the pattern, which will go on my website for sale at a later date. Don't know when yet, but you will be able to buy that on my website. If you sign up for the class, you get the pattern for free. Also, the cost of the class covers a recording of the class in case you're not able to make it for whatever reason, and that video will be yours to keep. You'll be able to watch it as much as you'd like so that you can make this over and over and over again with me. All right. Last announcement for today, Sunday, for those that are VIP members on my website, we are hosting a Zoom from 2 to 6 p.m. That first hour or so, I'm going to try to do some sort of a trunk show or demo or some sort of project, and then we'll open it up for just a social hour from like 3 o'clock Eastern to whenever the last one out is. I don't know that I'll be able to be there for the entire thing, because I do want to juggle some other things that I've got going on, but I will be there in person from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then I might just have to slip away to do some other things, but the Zoom will always be there for you guys to sew with each other. Okay, we've got a question in the chat from Wayne Jordan. Hey, or a comment rather. Hey, Becca, I got my package of stuff I won last Friday. I was excited to get a Ruby sticker as well as all the Christmas fat quarters. I was not expecting so much. Now on the search for a fun pattern. Well, maybe this pattern will be something that you can use. June Dixon says, hello, I am live for the first time too. Hello, hello, hello. All right, let's talk about our project. So last week when I ended the live stream, first off, do you see this beautiful quilt hanging up behind me? I told you I was going to finish piecing it before tonight, and I did. Didn't get it quilted, but I got it pieced. This is just your way of holding me accountable to getting stuff done. This went together so easily. I am absolutely stinking happy with it, and it's bigger than I thought it was going to be. I'm debating about adding an outer border on it. I don't know if I will or not, but I'm still deciding on that. Honestly, I'll know if I'm adding borders by the time it's loaded on the long arm. If by the time it's on the long arm and basted, there's no border, I'm probably not adding a border. So I'm very, very excited about that quilt. I can't wait to get it quilted and bound. At the end of last week's live stream, we were talking about what I was going to do this week. And I said, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but it's probably going to involve a mini charm. So I have been committed to bringing a project to you that will incorporate mini charms. Mini charms, if you don't know, are just a little pack of fabric. And I'll go ahead and go to... that's not working either. Okay, fine, whatever. I'll go ahead and go to the overhead camera. This is a little pack of fabric. It represents all of the prints that are in the line, and the designer has curated this. So you have 42 pieces of fabric. The entire line is represented in here, and it is a mini charm because each one of these pieces measures 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I have got 2 of those for tonight's project. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but I do want you to know that you don't have to use mini charms for this. You could use strips, 2.5 inch strips if you wanted to. You could use scraps. You could use a charm pack that you cut up, whatever works for you. I've had to mute a couple times because I have a little bit of a sneezing fit. It just came out of nowhere. So what are we going to make? Well, we're going to make... we are going to make a desk mat. So I have at work, I am splitting my time between the DC office and the Chantilly office. And the place that I am sitting at in the DC office has just a big desk on it, and there's really no personality. There's nothing going on in the office space. It's just a desk with a computer on it and a couple file cabinets. So I want to spruce it up a little bit. I was looking on Amazon for a desk mat that I could put underneath my keyboard that would also be a mouse pad, just to give it a little bit of personality, but also function as a mouse pad. And I thought, why am I going to spend money on that when I can make it I mean, granted, by the time I spend all the money to get the supplies, maybe I did spend more than I would have on a desk pad, but this one's going to be unique and it's going to have character and it's going to be exactly what I want. So that's what we're going to be working on tonight. To do this, I'm going to use 2 mini charm packs, each, as we said, with 42 2.5-inch squares. If you want to work on this with scraps, you just need 84 2.5-inch scraps. Cut them up however you want. Totally up to you. And then you're also going to need less than, but I'm going to pull a 1/2 yard of fabric for the back. Now this fabric, like I said, I'm going to cut a 1/2 yard off here, but that is way more than I need. There are going to be scraps from this, so keep that in mind. And the last thing that I'm going to pull is some lightweight fusible interfacing. For me, I like to use Pellon SF101. Let's talk about what that is. So Pellon SF101, it is a lightweight woven interfacing, and you have 2 sides to this. You have a smooth side and you have a bumpy side. Now this bumpy side is where the glue is. So we're going to talk about that in just a couple minutes, but I want to let you know when you buy it and you get it either off the bolt or folded up in a package from Amazon, it's actually 20 inches from selvage to selvage. So you'll want to keep that in mind when you grab your amount. What I've got in mind is a patchwork style desk pad. I'm not thinking about doing any particular design. I just want to sew my squares together and make it look pretty. I chose this Wild Honey line from Lella Boutique, which I absolutely love. I didn't buy a fat quarter bundle of it, and I'm really sad about that. So I'm going to put this to good use. I'm going to arrange these so that I have 14 pieces going across and 6 going down. Now you could put this together a number of different ways. You could just sew a bunch of rows and then do the rows together, or the columns and do the columns together, whatever works for you. But I want to show you a method that I'm going to use that you probably have seen before, but maybe you haven't seen it done with a lightweight fusible. This is going to help make sure that all of my pieces are exactly tidy and touching, and I don't have to worry about nesting seams. So what we're going to do is take a piece of SF101 and we're going to lay it down on a surface. And before I go too far, we're going to go back to that overhead camera so that you can see what it is I am actually doing. I want to bring in a pressing surface. I'm not really going to be doing a lot of cutting here, guys. It's going to be all pressing and sewing tonight. So we're just going to get rid of the cutting mat. I'm bringing in an ironing mat on my table setup so that you can see the pressing that I'll be doing. The reason why I'm bringing in the pressing is because we're going to lay out our SF101 on top of a pressing surface. And we're going to lay it down so that it is bumpy side up. And at this point, all we're going to do, and this is probably going to be the hardest part of the entire thing, we're just going to start laying out our 2.5-inch squares in a manner that makes our eyes happy. I want to try, I'm not going to succeed, I'm sure, but I want to try to balance my fabrics as much as I can. And so what I'm doing is breaking these up into color families. So this line has some really pretty whites with florals on it. We've got the blue, the green, we've got this lovely yellow, and then we've got this really pretty pink. So I'm just separating all of these mini charms into their respective color families. This will also help me see what I have the most of, because that pile will be higher than the others. And I do think the most is probably the pink and the yellow pile. Okay, now we're going to start arranging these. Remember, I said I wanted 14 across and 6 down. It doesn't matter how I do this, as long as I like the way it lays out. So I'm going to just start putting some across. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to get all 14 across here, but we'll find out. If I can't, then I will get everything fused down and then I'll shift over and do more. So we're counting these out right now. We're at number 4. Here is, ooh, this is a pretty one. This is number 5. I'm going to do a word in here. This is number 6. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do 14 across, but I will be able to do a 6 by 6. So that's what I'm going to focus on. I've got 6 here, then I'm going to do 6 down. Now it's never going to be longer than 6, but it is going to go 14. So actually we'll do 7 because that's exactly half. So let me grab one more fabric. I'll put this little cross stitch. So that's 7. That means after I fuse this and shift over to the right, then I will have 7 more to do. So now I just got to build 6 down. I can do this a number of different ways. I am not going to stress with how the fabric is laid out. I want this to look patchworky. I want it to be fun and scrappy. So we're just going to lay things out. I am trying my best to not let any of the two colors, the two same colors, touch each other. But if that happens, that happens. So pretty. The other nice thing about doing this is that you can actually see the fabric line this way. I love that. By the way, Justine, I did see that $2 tip. Thank you so much for sending that my way. I appreciate you. Sometimes I get talking and I forget to acknowledge things that have happened in the chat. And I don't want you to ever feel like I'm taking you or anything that you're doing for me for granted. Oh, that's pretty. Do you guys like how this is coming together so far? Hi, Sandra. You're not very late. We are just working on a desk mat tonight. So what I'm doing is taking 2 packages of 2.5-inch charms or mini charms. So I have 84 altogether, and I am putting them on an SF101 bumpy side up in a 14 by 6 configuration so that I can sew them all together and have a beautiful patchwork desk mat for my office. I'm not going to worry if I have 2 prints together that are the same, as long as the colors are spread out. That's really what I want to try to do, is get my colors just like shared. Share the wealth of the colors. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to go ahead and fill down 5 and 6 so that I know what I'm filling in. While I'm doing that, I'm going to pop over here and just turn my iron on. I'm going to need my iron for this next part. This is going to be a little bit tricky. I'll walk you through exactly what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. Okay, so I've got blue, blue, and white here, which means a green would be good. In fact, I think I'm going to change that green for this. Then I'm going to put a blue down here, maybe. Put a yellow over here. Another yellow right here. I want to make sure that I'm not putting all of them, and maybe I should have done 1 charm pack at a time, because what's going through my mind right now is, am I using all of my favorite prints on the left side of this? And then what happens when I get to the right side? Will I still have pretty flowers and things? So we'll have to see how that plays out in just a couple minutes. Oh, that's cute. All right, I'll be able to do a pink here. And we're going to do, I can't do pinks. I can't do pink and yellow here, but I could do a white. I'm going to do this white. Actually, no, I'm not. I don't like that white there, because that white, I want my, there's 2 pieces, or I'm sorry, 1 piece of white tone on tone in each of the mini charm packs, and I want those to be surrounded by colorful fabric. It is a nice way to brighten up a boring desk, isn't it? Justine says, thank you for your tutorials. I have Learned a lot from you, Ian, Tiffany. I learned from watching someone make things rather than reading a pattern. I hear you, girl. I am the same way. Okay, so all I need is one more right here, and it's got to be green. It's got to be green. So we're going to put green there. Now, before I do anything else, these are all of the pieces that are left over to go on the right side. I'm not going to stress too much about whether or not I have fabrics, these same fabrics to repeat on the other side, because at the end of the day, while this is super beautiful, it's going to be underneath my keyboard. So I'm not going to be looking at them all the same way. Somebody's saying you do have two blue background florals, only two away in the same row. Right. And we're not going to worry about that, right? So you're talking about these. We're not going to worry about that. I could if I wanted to, but we want to keep in mind that what we're really trying to do here is not have two of the same color touching, because that's going to give me my scrappy look. However, if you really, really don't like that, maybe there's too much here, this is your time to switch it up. So before we do anything else, we have got our 7 across and 6 down, which by the way is exactly 42, and that can be a placemat. Ask me how I know. It doesn't have to go any further than this if you don't want it to. So we are doing 7 across by 6 down. I'm going to take a minute just to kind of look this over and make sure I like the balance of the colors. I'm just looking to make sure I've got each of the 4 colors kind of represented in all of the areas. I've got it down here. I've got it up here. I think I'm happy with that. If I don't like this, I could do, nope, I can't do that. See, it starts to become a whole thing if you want to move it away. So what I'll likely do is put that back there, put this back here, and if I wanted to replace that blue with something else, I can just put a little, I don't want to put a dot. I got a dot next to it. See, you start to overthink it if you do this. I have that. I have that. You know what? We'll just put this one in here. It's fine. There we go. But now you're going to, now, if you're stressing about that, you might look at this and say, oh, well, that print is also right there. Keep in mind that these are 42 squares. I'm not going to be able to do all of them across. Oh, by the way, somebody's saying I only have 5 rows down. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't count. So I should have 7 across and 6 down. So let's fill in that last row down here. All I was really trying to show you with that is that you don't want to over stress where the fabrics are, because it can become completely overwhelming and you're gonna dig yourself into a hole. But if that is your jam and that makes you happy, then who am I to yuck your yum? Got 2 more that I need to come up with. So I've got a dot there. I'm going to do, got lots of blue dots still. I'm going to try and do another yellow. Nope, no I can't, because that's yellow and that's yellow. So I can't have any yellow down here. I also can't have pink. So no yellow, no pink. Over here I can't have blue, so this has to be green because I only have the 4 colors to work with. And over here I can't use green, so this has to be blue because I only have those 4 colors to work with. Okay, what do you guys think? How does that look to your eye? I'm going to set all of my extra 2.5-inch squares aside so that I will have them to work with later. These are all again laid out in a 7x6 orientation on a piece of SF 101. Now, as I mentioned again, I'm going to tell you the same thing. This bumpy side is up. The right side, the bumpy side is up and the wrong side of the fabric is down, because we're going to bring in an iron and we're going to lock all these squares into place and then sew them together. So I'm going to give it one more look, and I'm actually looking in the camera lens because sometimes things jump out at me in the camera lens that I wouldn't see in person. So I'm kind of looking at my computer monitor and making sure I am absolutely happy with the layout of all of this. And right now, I think I am? Question mark? We're going to do that. Oh, I don't want that one there. We'll put, nope, I don't want that there. See? Start to overthink it, don't you? I'll put this right here. No, well, you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. So now looks a little light in the top right to me. So you're talking about right here. Don't forget that I'm going to continue building on. So I'm going to do 14 across. I've only got 7. So this is actually the center. And then I'm going to build it out going off to the right. I feel like I'm getting a little flicker on the camera. It looks like it's trying to autofocus on its by itself, and I just want to fix that really quick because that's driving me insane, and you guys probably didn't even notice it, but it's driving me insane. Okay, we're going to go to my overhead, and we're going to do manual focus. Let's see if we can get this right where it needs to be. Nope, manual focus is still not working. Okay, let me just try one more thing, and if this doesn't, it's just one flag I'm going to turn off. And if the flag doesn't change it, it doesn't change it. But at least this way, oh, it is turned off. How about that? That's turned off. That's turned off. All the auto stuff is turned off. I just clicked. Okay, this should work. If it doesn't, I'll worry about it later. Okay, it looks great, Mary said. All right, nice, awesome, lovely, like it. I love it. It looks great. Looking good. What is SF101? SF101 is an interfacing. It's a fusible interfacing. By the way, if you don't know this, when you buy interfacing, sometimes you'll get some that have an F and some that don't have an F on it. And that difference means whether it's fusible or not. So like Pellon. Pellon is a brand of interfacing. Pellon makes a number of different interfacing products. For example, 72. 72, I can't tell you exactly what it is, but each number relates to a different type of interfacing. That 72 comes as Pellon 72 or Pellon 72F. And that F at the end means, and I'm making up whether 72F exists, so please don't quote me on this, but the F at the end of the number means that it's fusible. So if you're ever in a store and you see, I don't know, 71 versus 71F, that means that one of them is fusible and one of them is not. And I actually do think there is a 72F. I don't think there's a regular 72. I think that is a two-sided fusible, where 71 is the one-sided fusible, but they are exactly the same thing. It's just one has glue on one side, the other one has glue on two sides. And you don't need to know any of that for this product or this project. What SF101 is a lightweight woven interfacing. It's woven just like regular fabric is. One side has glue on it, the other side does not. This is a product that a lot of people use to put just a little bit of extra body behind their fabric. Or if you're in the world of t-shirt quilts, this stuff works out well for t-shirt quilts. I have laid out all of my squares where I want them to be, so now I'm going to bring in my iron. And I'm going to be careful not to touch the iron on any of the SF101 because I don't want to get glue on the bottom of my iron. I am going to take just a couple of minutes to make sure that all of these are relatively adjusting. They are relatively next to each other. I don't want any gaps bigger than 1/4 of an inch, maybe even 1/8 of an inch. But if they're overlapping a little bit, or there's just a little bit of negative space like you might see here, that's going to be okay. This is extremely forgiving, and we're going to make it up when it all comes together. So all I'm going to do is bring my iron in and set it down, and then I'll lift it up and I'll set it down. I am not moving the iron because that could cause these pieces to shift. So I am just applying heat to the fabric, and that heat is soaking through down to the interfacing underneath, and it's causing that bumpy side, that glue side, to melt and adhere to the fabric that's touching it. I'm not worried about getting this super locked in right now. It doesn't have to be like permanently glued down. It just needs to be glued down enough that I am happy with the placement. Sandra said, another lesson taught and learned. Thank you, Becca. You're welcome, Sandra. There we go. So I think all of these are, like, this one's not fully locked in, but it is enough for us to work with it. So I'm just going to leave that the way it is. I'm going to gently iron over this to make sure that I got, for the most part, as much of that glue. Not as much of the glue. We're not trying to glue the whole thing. We're just trying to glue some of it. Okay. Now that these are all pressed down, oh, see, this isn't fully pressed over here. That's okay. I don't need to come back in, but I am going to because I just see it right now. Once these are all pressed into place, then I can lift up this edge and slide it down and continue building out my 14 by 6. So remember, we did 7 across the first time. Now we're going to do 7 more, but this time we're picking up in the middle. So we're continuing that design element over. Shelby's asking, do you have a Teflon pressing sheet? I do not. I also don't have a pressing cloth. So I just make things work. Those are wonderful tools that you certainly can use in your sewing room. Those items, what they're talking about, for those that don't know, they are items that you can put down on top of your project for something like this that has glue in it, that will help prevent the glue from seeping onto your iron and causing a big old mess. I don't have one, so we're doing this the hard way, and that's okay. Remember, we made a comment about how this looked a little light up here. So I'm just going to start bringing in a few more dark fabrics to kind of blend that out a little bit. I'm going to put a green in here. I like that. I've got to start working through some of these pinks. That's the thickest pile that I have right now. I'm going to put a pink there. I'm going to put a yellow right here. I like the word fabric. I just do. So I'm going to put that down there. And I'll put this word fabric up here. Now, 42 plus 42 is 84. So I know I'm going to use all my squares. I really don't have to count. I just have to keep building off to the right until I have no more squares left, as long as I'm coming all the way down, just like I did over here. And we'll put this probably right around there. Put this right around there. Put that there. Put a pink here. Try and get these touching and lined up-ish. Melissa says she uses SF101 on shirts for memory bears. That's another great use of SF101. Absolutely. Put this really pretty one right here. Okay. Now we're going to do that. I'll put a blue down here. I'll put another pink over here. Put a yellow dot right there. Okay. Put a yellow there. That's, yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to just build out 5, 6, and 7 all the way across. 6, 7. That's how far over I'm going. So we can slide this down a bit more. And now I'm just going to start filling in spaces. I'm going to put this one maybe down here. This is that tone on tone piece. Starting to get a little difficult. I can't use yellow or pink in this spot, so it has to be blue or green. And I only have this one blue left, so I'll put that there for now. I can put a white here. I can put a white here. Actually, yeah, I've got one there. I can put a pink in here. I can do a yellow there. Do a green over here. Do another green. I'll put it down here to give it more balance. And then I'll come in with a pink right here. Super pretty. I can't do a pink up there, but I can do a pink here. I can't do that anywhere there. I can either do pink here or here. I'm going to go with here. I can't do pink there. Can't do pink here. I can do a pink here. Okay. We're going to put that guy right there. I can do a yellow here. All I've got are yellows and pinks. Am I missing a couple pieces of fabric? Yes, I am. I was like, man, I ran out of blue really quick. It's because it's on the floor. So I'm going to put a blue here. I'll do another blue down here. Put a yellow in there. I'll do a yellow up here. Oh, that, no, I'm going to, no. We'll put this here. I'm going to pull this one out. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to pull that one out. And I'm going to bring a green into here. Okay, so that's, I can't do that because I have pink, yellow, blue, and green. Oh, so I would need white. I could just put the white right in there. Just like, oh, but I already have that white. See, now I'm overthinking it. We're just going to put this one here. So just like that. Green, yellow. I'm going to put blue in there-ish, maybe. I don't know. Am I overthinking it, guys? I think I am. I'm going to put the blue right there. I'm going to bring my pink down here. I'm going to put a yellow right there. And now all I have is this one last one here. I've got to find a place where I can put a pink and swap that out because I can't have pink here. And this looks like I could put a pink there. What do you guys think of this? Stephanie says, sorry, I'm late. We're in Paducah for the quilt show and I ran into Mac. I was so excited. You tell her I said hi. She gets to go to all the fun quilt shows. You'll notice as I'm moving my fabric into place, I'm using my nails to kind of scratch it into place. That usually gets me better results than trying to move it with my skin. I like to use my nails. It just moves a little bit easier without being such a big move. You can make micro adjustments. Looks good, looks good, looks good. It's a puzzle. It is. Free Spirit said it's a puzzle. All right, if these are what I want, and I think they are because I want to get to sewing, I'm going to do the same thing I did with the other side. I'm just going to come in with my iron. It's on high heat. I'm not adding steam or starch or anything. I'm just lifting it up and pressing it down, trying to get that glue underneath to adhere to as much of this fabric as I can. I don't have to make sure it's all perfectly glued. I just have to make sure that there's enough glue on the back of the fabric to hold this in place while we're folding it and doing all the things. Alicia said, I put that on my desk, wink, wink. I think you have some mini charms of your own that you could do this with. Okay, I think we're good to go. Now, before I move on to my next step, I'm going to grab some scissors, and I want to rough cut this SF101 just a little bit so that I don't have all the extra bulk to play with. I just want it to be about the size of the squares. I'm going to have probably a 1/2 inch overlap. I'm okay with that, but 1/2 an inch is a whole lot better than however many inches that is. So I'm going to do it to the right side. I'm going to do that along the bottom too. Lift this just a little bit, and we'll come in and slice. I could rip if I wanted to, but I'm not going to, because some of you would probably freak out. But mostly I would be worried that I would send all of my squares in a tizzy. Plus, if you get a really good pair of sharp scissors that are meant to do this, you can almost glide right through. There we go. These are scraps that I can use in small projects. Waste not, want not. Now, I'm going to throw my papers away. We're going to start sewing. I apologize in advance, but something's going on with the light on my machine. The bulb is only a year old because I've only had the machine a year. Gosh, has it only been a year? Maybe it's 2 years. I don't know. But the bulb is not super old, and it started flickering. It turns on bright when I tap it, like if I take the screws off and I tap it, but then it just turns off after stitching for a little bit. So I'm worried there might be some electrical issues going on right now. Okay, we are going to go to the 3-camera setup. And I'm going to bring you in away from the floor. Hi, look at that. Come talk to Ruby right here. Let me show you how I'm going to sew this together. Over here in the overhead, you'll see I've got my big sheet of SF101 with all these squares. I'm going to pick up, I'll show you from this side because this is where I'm going to start sewing from. I'm going to pick up this edge, and I'm just going to fold this over on top of itself. I'm going to follow that crease all the way down. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to line up that fold with whatever mark on my sewing machine gives me a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now the beauty of this is it's forgiving. If you don't have a true 1/4 inch, fine. Use a 1/2 inch, use an inch, use whatever works for you. The most important thing is that you're straight-ish. So we're just going to focus on trying to get this in nice and straight. I'm going to take my mat out of the way for right now because the drag from the wool pressing mat will cause this to be a little bit more difficult to feed in. So we're just going to put this into the machine. I'm going to line up that fold with the right edge of my presser foot because I know that right edge of my presser foot is going to give me my perfect 1/4 inch. And I want to keep that same seam allowance for the entire project. So it's just an easy way for me to always make sure that my seam allowance is consistent if I always line it up with the edge of the presser foot. And you know what else would help? If you had bobbin. I had bobbin when I started. I don't have it now. See? It's empty. It's empty. I don't have one of those newfangled machines that beeps at you when you don't have enough bobbin. It's just like, you want to play roulette? Bet. Let's go. And then before you know it, you're air sewing. Bobbin roulette. All right, here we go. I'm going to bring this back over. My leader, I'm going to snip off just because I don't need that hanging off right now. And we're going to line this back up. I'm going to stitch right over what I already put down because it's just easier that way. I'm going to go all the way down this fold. Stitches look good. I'll put a leader and ender in here. Just going to sew off onto my leader ender. Now I'm going to come back over here. I've got all those sewn together. They're all perfectly lined up. I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to fold it in that valley between the next row, and I'll bring it back over to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew all the way down. You could, if you don't have SF101 and you still want to make this, you could use a bit of glue and just a piece of fabric, like a white background or something, and still get the same results. You'll be able to feel where the fabric needs to fold. You might not be able to see it if you're using fabric instead of the woven, but you'll be able to feel it. And then that would let you get started right now. I would advise you to use a good glue that's going to hold on to that. This might be a case where I pull out some Elmer's glue in the bottle and I put a dab or two behind each piece, and then I use my iron to get that Elmer's glue to really dry up. Now I want to point something out to you because it's happening to me right here. If you didn't take time to press all these down really good, sometimes you'll get just like a little loose piece of fabric hanging out there. You'll want to be careful with that. I'm just going to apply a little bit more heat to get that to lay down. You'll want to be careful with that. So if you feel like something isn't laying right when you go to fold the next time, you'll feel it, trust me. But if you feel like it's not laying right when you go to fold the next layer, stop and open it up and just double check. You'd rather be safe than sorry with this. And all it takes is just a little bit of finesse to put it right where it needs to go. Yep, I made my own grid. You can buy products that are essentially this interfacing, and you just draw they have the lines already drawn on there, and they have all sorts of different sizes. So you just lay your squares out where you want to be, and that becomes really fun because you can use those grids or those panels to make pixel quilts really, really easy. Okay, so as I'm going through all of those, let me just double check. I'm happy with the way it's laid out, so I'm going to pick up the next one. I'm going to fold that on itself. Oh, I know what I wanted to show you. There was a spot in here, and you can't really see it now, but if you look on the back, and it's going to be really hard for you guys to see, but I can see back here that I've got some of the yellow fabric right here wrapped around the seam. So I know that they're not perfectly lined up. Don't inspect any of this back here. It doesn't matter. As long as your seam is catching the interfacing and the two squares that you're trying to put together. We'll fold the next column. Here we go. We're going to go this way. Justine says, I think I'll do the same for my daughter. Thank you, because she is autistic and can't stand the touch or smell of the computer mouse pad. I understand that. I can understand that. My daughter has some sensory issues too, so yeah. We're going to quilt this tonight too, and I'm going to show you how I quilt it. But I am going to tell you, well, actually, no, we're not quilting this. We're not putting this together. Sorry. We're not putting this together like a traditional quilt. And the reason why I bring that up, you can if you want to, but I know that when I have this underneath my keyboard, I don't want it to be very fluffy, and I certainly don't want it to be that way under the mouse. I've had mini quilts, like little mouse pads that I've made before, and I've quilted them and all that stuff, and it's been hard for the laser optical mice to really work underneath that. So my goal for this is to have it just be as flat and pretty and thin as possible. So we're not going to do any heavy quilting on it. I'm probably not even introducing cotton batting. I'm going to put this SF101 obviously behind all of my squares, but then I'm going to put it on the other piece. And then we're just going to sew them right sides together and leave a gap, turn it right side out, and then stitch around all four sides to close it up. Few things that you can do to make this next level. If you like to drink coffee at the computer and you're worried about spilling coffee on your beautiful desk pad, you can certainly replace this with something else. Also keep in mind that this is washable. It's just cotton fabric, right? And so if something happens, you can just take it off and put it in the wash. If you want to make sure that after you wash it that first time, it doesn't shrink a whole bunch, I would advocate for washing your fabric and maybe using less, like not scraps, maybe use yardage. Pick out a few pieces of yardage and put together your own look. Maybe it's all just stripes. Maybe it's a bunch of squares that you cut after the fabric was washed. I'm living on the edge by putting pre-cuts here, which I know if I ever wash this, it's probably going to shrink a bit, and I'm okay with that. You'll notice I'm getting through here pretty quick. Look at all those that are already sewn together. I've just got a few more columns to do. And then the other way is going to be really fast because there's less seams there. They're longer, but there's less seams going the other way. Okay, now that the bulk of it has been sewn together, I'm going to turn it around so that I have the working part hanging out here, and I'm going to start using the shallow end just so I don't have to put a ton of this in the throat of my machine. That felt a little off, so I just wanted to double check visually to make sure things were laying where they need to be. Question, do you ever use a serger for your quilting projects? I love the decorative stitches a serger does, and I'm so excited to try it. I don't have a serger, so no. I actually do have a machine in here that has a a zigzag stitch. It's my mom's baby lock, but it's not even set up. I have a Juki at one table, which is a straight stitch only machine. It's a TL18. And I've got Ruby here, which is a straight stitch only machine. And in fact, my travel machine is a Singer Featherweight that is a straight stitch only machine. So that's all I have to work with. That's all I have to work with. Colleen says you could apply a couple coats of Auto Coat and make it easy to wipe down. That's a great idea. Wonder if Mod Podge is the same as that. Maybe somebody in the chat knows. All right, that's the last seam for the columns. Now, I need to start sewing the other way. But before I do, I need to work some magic from the back side so that I can have these seams nest. I don't have to if I don't want to, but that means that I'm gonna have a bit of bulk. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So on the back side of this, you can see that I just have a straight row of stitching going here. When my next step is gonna be to fold all this in half and stitch. I can do that and it'll be just fine, but right now the seams are stacked on top of one another. If I want to take a little bit of extra time, I'm going to grab a pair of snips. I can come in here and in between the two fabrics right here, the two squares that are joined, I'm going to snip into that interfacing, but I'm not going to go through the thread. I'm just going to snip right up to that stitched line. I'm going to do that in between each one of those pieces. And then what that's going to let me do is alternate my seams so that I don't have all the bulk stacking under one another. It'll also let me nest them. Because we are going to do our long rows, not our columns, I need to make sure that I'm snipping in between the fabrics for the same row all the way down. Some people at this point will go in and snip all of those junctures. Again, this is an optional thing. You don't have to do it, but you will get better results if you do. I've even seen where some people will place this on their cutting mat and they'll slice a rotary blade right along the fold to get this to be two pieces and then press their seams open. If you ask me, that's a lot of extra work and I'm not here for it. I'm here for a finished project. And since it's for me, I feel like I can do whatever I want because I'm not going to complain about my work. And if I do, then I'm not quilt worthy. All right, we're going to fold this in half, not in half. We're going to fold the two rows together. And we're just going to make sure that as I'm doing this, I'm keeping the seams going in the same direction. So I'm going to eventually have to have some of them pointing up when I go to the machine on the bottom. The seam on the bottom will, on some of these rolls, be pointing opposite the feed dogs, but we're going to start off easy. So I've got on the top, I've got my seams on top pushed up and my seam underneath pushed down. And I'm just going to sew all the way down this long edge, just like I did before. I will sew one, stop, adjust the next one. Once my needle is in that seam, I'll stop, hold it, sew, stop, hold it, sew, stop, hold it, sew. I am trying to feel as best I can to see if those pieces are really nested, the seams are really going where they need to be, but if the points aren't perfect, that's okay, because again, what is the purpose of this? To make my desk look pretty. What's going to make my desk look pretty? The fabric, not the points. And I'm going to sew all the way off on the end and then onto my leader ender. When I bring this back over to the overhead camera and I open it up, you can see that I'm starting to get all of these sewn together. And you can at this point stop and inspect your pieces. What you want to make sure happened is that because you used a good consistent seam allowance, all of these edges should be sewn to one another. You should not have any extra fabric just like hanging out, like any flaps going, hey, you forgot me. We don't want to forget anybody. We want to include everyone. Once that one's done, then I'm going to fold the next row. Actually, I'm not going to fold yet. I'm going to snip the next row. And bring in my scissors and go through this row. 1, 2, I don't know why I'm counting. Does anybody remember Mr. Dressup from PBS in like the 80s and 70s? I used to love that show. And sometimes when I'm doing live streams and I've got these projects going on, the ambient sounds like the scissors and stuff always remind me of the craft time that he did in his show, because he'd always break and go over to a craft counter. He'd have a dress-up trunk where he'd put costumes on. The sound of the markers and everything was always soothing to me. All right. We're going to sew the next one, and oh, look, this time I'm getting lucky too. I don't know why I'm getting lucky twice in a row. The seams for here are nested. I'm just going to sew all the way down just like I did before. There's probably some formula that I just happened upon that's going to allow me to always have the seams going in the same direction every time I sew. Maybe it's just because I'm alternating ends. I don't know. I honestly don't have an answer for you. I just know I'm a little bit lucky this time. So I'm going to make sure that they're not stacked. I want them nested. Okay. Huh. Well, that one's wrong, but that's okay. This one we're going to have stacked seams, and I'm okay with that. Becca, couldn't you just press the rows right to left like we usually do? Maybe, yeah. I don't know. The problem with pressing them right to left at this point is they're not like, they're still attached. This is just one flap. It's one solid piece of fabric. That's why I'm snipping. And then when I snip, I end up having to do it that way. If I press these in opposite rows, then when I fold them together, let me show you. So if I press all like opposite ways, I'm still getting the seam on top of one another. Do you see that? They're not nesting. That's why I'm snipping, so that they can, this one and this one that are next to each other can go in opposite directions. I hope that helped. Get in there. There we go. And that one's already cut. So now I'm going to fold that row together, and I'm going to follow the direction that this seam went. Now we're messed up. Not messed up. Now we're going to be having the bottom one point up. I knew that was going to happen sooner or later. Oh, Melody, thank you so much for that tip. You're going to buy me a coffee tomorrow. Thank you. I'm going to have a sugar-free sugar-free caramel latte. Those are really good. They're my new favorite right now. Also, they have a ham and cheese croissant sandwich that I have been loving on occasion for breakfast. I may have had it twice this week, so I will be good and just have yogurt or something instead. Ian is on a trip visiting friends, so I'm not going to see him much this weekend, at all this weekend, because he's not even in the state. He's off visiting some friends. So I'm going to have a whole weekend of Ruby and binging some TV show. Don't know what it's going to be yet. If you have recommendations, put them in the chat. What should I binge? I've got YouTube TV. I have got Paramount. I've got, I think, HBO Max. I've got Hulu Plus. I've got Netflix. Give me a series that you think I should check out. Oh, and I have Apple TV. We have a Zoom VIP this weekend. Yes, we do. On Sunday from 2 to 6. I'll be there probably from 2 to 3. After that will just be open social time for you guys to sew with friends. Oh, I'm all caught up on Bridgerton. So can't watch that unless I rewatch it. And I got caught up on Gilded Age too. So can't watch that either. You know, I should. You know what I should watch? I should watch Downton Abbey. Here's my story with Downton Abbey. Years ago, when it was all the rage, I was into it. I was like, oh, this is great. But I would wait for the season to end. I think I waited like 1 or 2 seasons before I jumped in. And so I watched season 1, I watched season 2, and I got to season 3. There's going to be a spoiler alert here, guys, by the way. I get to season 3 and I'm all in. Yes, this is a great show. I love it. Let's go. They hadn't shown season 4 yet. The end of season 3, the very end of the very last episode, one of my favorite characters is no longer with us. I got so upset, I quit watching the show. I was so mad. I hadn't watched another episode since. Well, not past that. I did go back a couple years ago and I was like, okay, I really did like the show. Let me just go see how things fared, da 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 da. But I don't really remember all of it because it's been forever since I've watched it. So let me rewatch from season 1. I think I got halfway through season 1. I was like, meh. Because I knew it was coming. Broken Wood Mysteries. Okay. Oh, The Blacklist. I've seen that. Yeah. Jason got me hooked on that. We watched it together. Good show. Buccaneers on. Oh, are they back with a new season? Because I love that show too. Buccaneers. Might have to watch Buccaneers. Oh, Shelby's going to miss the Zoom because she'll be performing at a concert. Enjoy. We're with you in spirit, Shelby. All right, I only have one more row to sew. Is that great? So I'm going to come back here and I'm going to snip these. Told you I was going to finish this tonight. Sometimes we just need a little palette cleanser or a quick sew or something practical in between big projects. So I'm really happy to have this to show you because we can start and finish it in one live stream. And I feel like for the past several months, we have been doing projects that are taking us multiple weeks to put together. So sometimes we just want to splice it up a little bit of fun stuff. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to put these together and I'm going to sew that last row, making sure that all of my seams are going in opposite directions. Oh, 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 it's magic. I don't watch Desperate Housewives. Michelle said, I did the exact same thing. Oh, hey, my camera stopped working. Oh, no, it's just the white thing. Never mind. I was like, oh, no, the camera's frozen. No, it's not. It's just my white desk. Anyway, Michelle said she did the same thing with Downton Abbey. She's never watched it since. Crafty Pat says, I'm glad you were working on this. I'm working a watercolor quilt. All my squares are on. Sewing them together is next. Thanks for showing me how. It's not hard. Fire Country on Paramount Plus. Okay. I've seen Bridgerton. I've seen all of the Bridgerton episodes. I've even seen Queen Charlotte. Is there a project for May? I haven't picked one out yet. I will post on my website sometime over the course of the week what we will do or what my plan is going to be for May. But I don't have that answer for you right now because I haven't really thought about it. The Queen on Netflix. Okay. All right. I am going to take a quick bio break after this scene. So I'm going to step away. I will hit the button to allow just a couple of ads to play. This won't take you away from, and if you're watching live, it won't take away from any of the live stream because I will not be here. So you can just let that play. Go get a fresh cup of water, use the restroom, do whatever you got to do, and then we'll come right back and finish this up. There we go. Okay, be right back. And I'm back. Did you miss me? All right. Now, our last step, well, not our last step. At this point, I'm going to put my keyboard on it. Oh, look, it's perfect. If I slide it down here, I've got plenty of room over here for my mouse. I'm happy. Although I think my keyboard at work is bigger. That's okay. If it is, I can make another one that'll match it. My keyboard can go on this and another one can be my mouse pad. That's fine. I'm not worried about it. But what I am worried about is getting this nice and flat. So I've got to do some ironing again. I'm going to make sure my iron is turned all the way on. I'm going to open this up and I just want to, it doesn't really matter which direction the seams go in. I just want to make sure that I get it taut-ish. Don't pull it too hard. And I give it a good press. So I'm going to do this from the back side so I can see where the seams are. And then I'm just going to come in with a hot iron. And I'm just going to press. There are a couple spots in here where my seams are going in the same direction. It's going to be fine. We're not going to worry about it. It's going to be okay. And because I'm being a little sloppy with this, there might be spots where the edge of my SF-101 is getting just a little bit stuck to my wool pressing mat. If you use a Teflon sheet or a wool pressing cloth, or even just a piece of scrap fabric underneath this, that will help save your mat. I'm apparently glutton for punishment, so this is what I'm doing. You do what works for you. What did Mary do? Everybody's saying Mary's fun and should be in charge. What did Mary do? Shetland is good. Death in Paradise, Beyond Paradise, and maybe Vera. Those are all good show recommendations. Thank you. Probably won't remember any of these tomorrow. But I will remember that The Buccaneers has started, it has a new season available to watch. Lots of people in the chat are saying Vera, it was good. Maybe I will have to give that one a little look-see-loo. Queen Charlotte was a good yeah, that was like a spin-off of Bridgerton. It was really good. I loved it. Although I love the Queen in Bridgerton. She's probably my favorite character. Besides Jonathan Bailey, of course, because very cute. Okay. All right. Now that that's pressed from the back side, I'll probably give it a press from the top as well. There's a bit of bubbling in here. I'm not going to worry about that. It's going to be fine. But I am, like right here, this has got a couple areas that could be a nip or a tuck if I were putting this on my long arm or finishing it some other way. I'm not, so we're not going to worry about it. It's going to be good. But I am trying to find my faultless, which I thought I put right there. I do have my best press. I guess I'll just use best press. The only reason why I'm really doing this is to get it a bit flatter. This isn't needed, but I find when I'm finished with a block or a project, giving it a nice press with some starch or steam always helps the pieces lay flatter. Gets those seams nice and crisp. Do you see how over here is really flat and that's been starched and pressed, but the next section is not? That's what I'm looking for. Ooh, and this smells so good. What do you guys think? You like it so far? Don't forget, I didn't give the shout out this time, this week. If you're a content creator, and I was just thinking about some other things that I could watch tomorrow, and it occurred to me that I could pop into some live streams and watch some other content creators make some fun stuff while I'm sitting in here working. And I thought, oh, you know, that's probably a really good time to let everybody promote themselves. So if you have a YouTube channel and you would like people to check it out, all you got to do is type !selfie in the chat, and the chat bot will drop a link to your channel for people to check out. And who knows, maybe I'll see you in a live stream sometime this weekend while I'm sitting in my room getting caught up on projects. Okay, it's as flat as I care for it to be. So this is what it looks like. Oh, it's so pretty. So pretty. I love it. I'm going to set this aside, and now I need to bring my cutting mat back out just for a minute because I need to cut off some of my yardage. I want about a half a yard, give or take an inch or two. So I'm just going to measure out 18 inches. And then I will cut. I'm not even going to worry about it being super straight. I'm just going to free cut it. There we go. Then I'm going to come in with my other piece of SF101. And we're going to adhere this to the back of here. Now I'm going to put the entire piece-ish on there. I would rather have the back side be bigger than it needs to be, and then I can square it down. The reason why I'm doing that is because then when I put these right sides together to sew them, I don't have to worry about if the corners are perfectly lined up. If the back side that I am putting it right sides together with is great and it's bigger than the front side, then I know I'm going to be good because the front side will have a back all the way around all four sides. So I'm just going to press this. I am doing kind of the ironing motion, but I'm going to go parallel to the selvage so that I'm not stretching anything. I'll pick that up. Oh, that didn't press over here. Oh, it wasn't on high heat. This might be optional for you. You may not find that you want this extra piece of SF101 because I'll be honest, this is pretty thick. I want it to have just a little bit more body, and that's why I'm putting this piece here. You could remove this by just putting them together like a traditional quilt sandwich and quilting it, maybe doing some stitch in the ditch or doing some echo quilting right along the seams, whatever works for you. I thought spraying starch on a block that you finished sewing together would make the block shrink. Is that true? Yes, it will. However, in my case, it's all put together and I don't care if a little bit of it shrinks because all the seams are sewn together, so it's pretty stabilized. And I always spray starch my block when it's done, but I spray starch my fabric before I cut. So I don't find I have an issue with that. I want to make sure I'm not getting bubbles on this. And I feel like, yeah, I am. I certainly am. So I'm going to iron from this side where I can see the fabric instead of from the back. That's better. The good thing is I know I don't need the entire width. So if there's one end that's not as good as the other end, then that's just not the end that I'm going to keep in my project. It's going to be wider than I need it to be, so. Do this over here. Looking great, Becca. Thank you. I'm glad you guys like it. I'm going to like it. It's going to be lovely. This is the most tedious part, honestly. Ironing the back. Feels so anticlimactic, but I'm so close to having it done, y'all. Question, do you have a problem with pre-cuts putting together and the rows don't match up? I don't know what you mean by that. Like on the SF-101 or just when I'm doing it in general? If you're talking about on the SF-101, I think there are a couple that maybe, yeah, there's a couple that aren't perfect, but it's perfect enough for me. I usually don't have a problem with manufactured pre-cuts like a charm pack or a mini charm from Moda, because you can tell that they're all cut exactly the same size because they're all stacked on top of each other. I usually don't have a problem with those, but I do have a problem with using die cut pieces. For whatever reason, sometimes the die cut pieces just don't line up the way they ought to. I'm not going to worry too much about this side because this is the underside, and the whole purpose of this is just to be on the back so that the seams from the project are finished and hidden and not exposed to the elements. So if it's not perfect, it's okay. It's going to be just fine. I definitely have some bubbles in my SF-101, and we're okay with that. We're going to leave it as I sit here and try to fix it. Let me just see. If I get some pleats in here, I'd rather have it on the SF-101 than to have it on the actual fabric itself. And honestly, this is probably from having such a big piece that I'm doing SF-101 on and doing it on such a small ironing surface. If I were smart, what I would have done is taken this over to my pressing station where I can lay the whole thing out flat and get everything smooth and press it. But I didn't, so that's fine. Okay, good enough. All right, now that my backing is pressed and I've got it all together, I'm just going to pick a spot where I want to line this up. It doesn't matter where I put... I just burned myself. I think I have some burned cream in the other drawer. Give me a minute. And it was on my upper arm too, where you know that skin is really sensitive. Give me the cream. Well, that was fun. I can't see where it is, but it'll show up tomorrow. If you ever wondered if the Aliso iron gets hot, it does. All right, so what we're going to do now is just lay out our top here on top of this. Now, before I do that, actually, actually, we're going to trim it. So I'm going to bring my cutting mat back out. This is going to let me see exactly where the clean edges are. So I'm going to get a rotary cutter and a ruler. A ruler would be great. I'm going to use Fallon's trim locks. I'm not measuring anything. I'm just trying to get a nice clean line. Yes, I'm okay. Thank you guys for asking. So I'm just going to line up the edge of this with the edge of my piece. I'm going to keep doing that all the way up. And then I will come over here and do this edge. Okay. Now I'm going to clean up this edge over here. Using a ruler probably would be better because then you can make sure you're getting that 90-degree corner, but I'm being a little sloppy. So do as I say, not as I do, I guess. And one more edge. You guys can't hear me? It might be on your end because my microphone's on and it's catching volume. Try turning your volume up. Although, oh, maybe you also are watching behind when I stepped away. There we go. Yeah, it would be a super cute doll blanket. Somebody said it'd be a super cute doll blanket too. Absolutely it would. All right, now that the edges are... Goodness. Now that the edges are all lined up, I'm going to come in and put this right sides together. But before I sew it, I am going to grab some scissors and I'm going to rough cut this out so that the backing is just a little bit bigger than the piece that is going to be on the front. And by the way, SF101 you can actually peel off. So if I wanted to, you can see it's not fully fused on there, I could just take this, boom, and now there's still some glue on here. I can still use that, and now I have a piece of scrap that's the same weight as quilting cotton. Right up here, I'm going to try to line this up just a little bit this way. My cutting mat just fell over. That way I can maximize the size of my scraps. And it fell over against my trash can. It's pushing the trash can down. If it's not one thing, it's another. I know you can't see what I'm cutting over here. Sorry. Now I'm going to go like this. So I'm going to try to cut this off. Again, I'm leaving a bit of space. Obviously with SF101, the more you fuse it in, the better job you do fusing, the harder it would be to separate the interfacing from the fabric. So just keep that in mind. All right, now that I've got all that done, I'm going to take this over to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew around all four sides, making sure that I can see the back side extending past all four of those sides. I'm going to leave a gap though for me to turn this right side out. And for me, it doesn't really matter where you leave it. Just make sure that it's in the middle of a side. You don't want it to be on a corner. So if I'm going to leave it on this edge, I want to stitch here and leave that open. And when I do that, I usually back stitch just a couple of stitches at the start and end of that hole to keep it nice and tidy. So we're going to come over here. You can do this with a 1/2 inch, a 1/4 inch, whatever seam allowance you want. I'm just going to, again, line everything up with the edge of my presser foot, just like this. I'll take a few stitches. Now I'm going to go backwards, and then I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to sew all the way off, just that's my habit. I'll pick up my presser foot, I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go all the way down this end. My back was a little wonky, so I have lost just a bit. It wasn't perfectly straight on here, so I'm going to lose just a little bit right there, and it's going to be okay. A little bit of the square in the front. That's fine. It'll be all right. Oh, did I run? Why do I not? Good grief. Sorry, guys. I apparently wasn't sewing. I know it's a fresh bobbin, but sometimes it does this weird thing where the thread comes out of the bobbin casing. It's not in there where it needs to be. So I have to pull the bobbin out and reload the bobbin case. Just like that. Test it back. We'll put it back in place. All right, we're going to try that again. There we go. Then we'll go down this edge. I'm not liking how that's laying out, so I'm going to stop because I know this is going to bother me, and I'm going to rip this seam. This can be a teaching moment for how I use a seam ripper. Do you see how it's kind of started? It's wonky right here in this corner, and I know that's going to bother me, so I'm going to rip this out. So what I'm going to do to use my seam ripper is I'm going to take the sharp point, I'm going to put it inside the seam and just pop a few stitches. Then I'm going to turn it around so that the end with that red ball is down inside the seam, and I'm putting it in between those two layers of fabric. And I'm running the seam allowance between the fabric right up against that seam. And a lot of times when I'm doing this, it actually helps for me to hold it. If I lay it flat, then I feel like I end up stabbing the fabric. And you're just going to go all the way along. If you have any resistance at all, stop, pull the seam ripper out, reposition it, and try again. All right, that's out. So now I'm going to rip this other seam up here. We're going to do the same thing. You'll notice I told you to put the ball side in. I'm not doing that. I know you're not supposed to do it this way, but for whatever reason, I feel like I have better control and better results and can do it faster when the sharp side is down inside of the seam and not the red ball side. But it does mean that I have to be super aware of how my seam feels. If I start feeling any resistance at all, I stop because the sharp end may have gone through one of the bits of fabric, and we don't want that. I'm going to rip this seam too. Why not? We're just going to start all over. It doesn't take long to rip a seam. Not one like this anyway. And I know future Becca will appreciate being a little bit more intentional with this step. Okay. We're going to lay it flat. Try this again. I'm going to make sure that I have fabric around all four sides. I do. I could pin this now if I wanted to. I'm not going to, because apparently I'm glutton for punishment, but I am going to start on the long side first. So I'm going to start here. I will start stitching and back stitch. And then I'll go all the way down. I'll turn, do the same thing down this edge. I'll turn, do the same thing along the bottom edge. I'm lining the raw edge of my top up with the edge of my presser foot, not the edge of the back fabric, because the back fabric is bigger than my top. And I got the same thing over here this time. You know what? It's going to be okay. We're just going to have a bigger seam allowance in this side to make it straight. The problem here is how janky I cut that back piece. I should have been more diligent in my cutting. I should have got out the cutting mat and the rotary cutter. I did not, and so now I am paying the price for that. But as you'll see, this is pretty forgiving, so it's not going to matter when it's all said and done. I'm going to back stitch right here. I've got a hole in there now. Put my needle up so I can pull this out and away. Now I'm going to clean this up a bit. Okay. I want to make sure that all of my sides have stitching on them. They do. I'm good. For the purposes of this one, we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing. I'm going to tidy up with a 1/4 inch seam allowance from my stitching. So this trim lock ruler from Fallon does have a 1/4 inch mark on it. I'm lining that 1/4 inch mark up on the stitch that I took so I can make sure that I've got a nice clean 4 sides. This doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be in the inside of your project. Nobody's going to see it. But what we're aiming to do here is make sure that we're removing as much bulk from this as possible. The back side we left quite a bit bigger. And so the squaring that I'm doing right now is just to get that backside fabric down to the right size. Though, if you didn't do this and you just tucked everything in, you probably would be fine too. There we go. Okay. Our last step of the evening is to turn this right side out and then give it a good stitch around all 4 sides. So I'm going to reach down inside. I'm going to turn this right side out. I'm going to use my hand to smooth out all of the seams and get everything laying nice and flat on top of itself. You can't really see what I'm doing. apologize. Let me give you this scene. So I'm reaching in there and pulling everything out. There we go. Now, I'm going to do a little bit more pressing. I'm all done cutting, so the cutting mat can go back away. I'm going to do a little bit more pressing, this time on the fabric, not on me. I'm going to take my finger and my thumb, and we're going to roll the fabric so that the edge, that seam, is right on the edge. If I have to sacrifice fabric not being perfectly lined up on the edge right there, I'm going to focus more on the top folding around to the bottom rather than the bottom folding up to the top. I can also take this moment to poke out my corners and try to get them as pointy as I want them to be. If you want them curved, that's fine. I just want mine to look tidy. Oh, they said this could be a cute lumbar pillow too. It sure could. Once I have this edge lined up, I'm going to press that edge, and then I'm going to do the same thing for another side, just to kind of get it really where I want it to be. I'm going to do the bottom seam this time. So I'm going to roll everything so that the edges are lined up. And it is a little bit difficult to roll this, especially with that interfacing in there. Just be patient. You'll be okay. It's also kind of hard to do with nails, if I'm being honest. I'll do a little bit, and then I'll press that down with my iron. Do a little bit more. Press that down with my iron. Just like that. Your DC office is going to look fab. It will. If I can't be working in my sewing room, then I might as well take my sewing room to my DC office. Not everything. Maybe just some remnants of what I've done in my sewing room. They're pretty, aren't they? Love those colors. Like I said, it's very forgiving. As an experienced sewer, quilter, I can point out all the mistakes where all the things are not lined up absolutely perfectly, but you wouldn't see them, right? Like you're probably not going to see where it's janky. And I can tell you that the jankiness that I'm seeing, and why am I saying that word all the time tonight? But the wonkiness that I'm seeing is because of how I handled the back. If I would have been a little bit more deliberate with the back, I would have had better results. So once I get to this hole, I'm going to put my finger down inside of the hole, and I'm going to kind of shimmy it so that everything lines up on itself a bit. And I will grab some clips or some pins to secure that in place, just so I can close the hole up. Some of my seams are starting to come a little loose right there, but it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Becca, thank you for having closed captions on tonight. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that they're finally working. There was something wrong. Like I think somehow they had gotten turned off by accident on a live stream several months ago. And so when I went to go do a live stream, I thought the captions were on, but because it inherited the permissions from the previous stream, they weren't on. And one of you were kind enough to let me know that they weren't working. I was like, oh, so I'm glad that they're back there for you. I watch a lot of things with closed captions, not because I don't have a hearing problem, but I just process more of what's going on when I can read it too. Come to find out, I think a lot of us are like that. All right, now I'm going to go back to my sewing machine, and the last thing that we're going to do tonight is one stitch all the way around all four sides. So I'm just going to lay this in here. I'm going to line up. I'm going to try to do this as close to the edge as possible. So I'm going to go like 1/8 of an inch. And we're just going to stitch. The whole purpose of this is just to get the edges to lay flat and, most importantly, close up the hole at the top. So when we're going over the hole, we just want to make sure that we're close enough to the edge that we're catching all of the layers of the fabric, but far enough inside that we're catching all the layers of the fabric. It's kind of a balancing game. So the more you can have the folded edges lined up, the better off you're going to be. Hardest part is done. The hole is now closed. So now we're just going to finish doing our perimeter stitch. There we have it. It's not perfectly flat. It's definitely got some character to it. It is not perfectly rectangular either, but it's going to be just fine. The whole purpose of this is just to have something pretty underneath my keyboard. I'm going to point out a couple things, not because I'm trying to shame anyone, but because I want you to understand what I did wrong and how you could learn from it and what you're going to get. So you see across the top up here, it's not a straight edge, and these pieces are not squares like the rest of them. This is where I had problems with my back fabric not matching up. So had I taken just a few more minutes to, look, it literally tapers in. Had I taken a few more minutes to cut my backing fabric square or rectangular, and really taken some time to square up this top using an actual ruler and making sure that I had 90-degree corners, I would have had a better result. But in the end, it's still precious, it's still cute, and the colors are absolutely gorgeous. This is definitely something that is forgiving. Mine is not perfect, but it's still functional. It's still functional. So I hope you guys like that. And I can always do this with a smaller amount to make it a placemat. I could do it with an even smaller amount to make it a mouse pad. I could do a number of things. And if I really wanted to at this point, I could go in and do some stitch in the ditch. A couple of things that I would recommend. Do I recommend using SF101 on both sides? It's okay. But I actually think if I'm going to do the SF101 for the small pieces on the top, I would not mind a very low loft batting and then just stitch in the ditch or echo right next to all the seams to quilt it and just put binding on it. I think that would have really been cute. The edge could be paste at the bottom. Yep, no one's going to know. No one's going to know. And if they do, then whatever, I don't care. I would like to see them do it while on a live stream and running technology and burning their arm. My bet is they're not going to be able to do it half as well. So there you go. All right, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope you had a blast putting this together. I started and finished a project in just under 2 hours. I'd love to see what you make and if you do something like this. So don't forget, take a picture of what you're working on, post it to social media and tag me in it, or just drop it in the Facebook group or send it to me in an email, info@sobecca.com. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll see the VIP members on Zoom on Sunday, and I'll see those of you that are doing the table runner class with Holly Quilt Shop tomorrow on Zoom. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye. Gotta press all the buttons manually.